For our boundary studies, we are here. We are doing these combined sessions. We're very excited about it. I used to be on the curriculum team, so it feels like I'm home, being with many of my colleagues in that world. We will be collecting additional feedback. Superintendent's recommendation will be worked on and then presented first week in February. And then there will be work sessions and public hearings and board final decision. And this is being recorded, so these will be posted as well, so you'll have that. So we just wanted to show this graphic. You'll see a lot of these, you probably have one in front of you. This is the 6 regions model. It applies to the conversation you're gonna have in a little bit about the programs and also to our boundary studies. We just wanted to orient you with that. And just for your awareness, this map is based on current boundaries because that's what we have. And so any adjustments within boundary assignments will come sort of after that. Okay, so we currently have 2 studies for Woodward and Crown Damascus. We presented on these recently in the last month or so and put out options. How could this impact anyone? Your middle school and high school assignments could change if you are in one of these schools in one of the scopes. In this boundary study, we are not changing elementary school assignments. So it would be middle school assignments, high school assignments included in the scope. So this is one of the scopes. This is Crown, which is obviously not geographically where we are today, but we just wanted to put that out there because we know not everyone comes to, one presentation, so we just wanted to share that. So we have our scope for Crown and Damascus, as well as our scope for Woodward. And so the middle schools and high schools that are included in the scope could potentially be impacted by this boundary study. Okay, so this is the second iteration of the options. We did an early sort of set of options in May and June, and based on the feedback that we got from those options, the program 6 region model that you have in front of you, and our policy FAA, educational facilities planning, the options that are A, B, C, D are the ones that are available. How are they available? If you go to the MCPS website, there are 2 big buttons that allow you to do 2 different things. You can explore the options, and you can go to the survey. And so what do we have in those? Okay, we have interactive map tools. We actually do have effects tables. Those went in today, so I was pretty excited about that. We have articulation charts. We have data tables. Those were updated this week with the enrollment data that comes from the September 30th data that is collected. And then we have maps. So lots of things for you to look at. But again, the effects tables just went up early this afternoon or lunchtime, and the data tables have been updated. We do have packets for the Woodward options. You are welcome to take one. They actually have the updated data tables in them. So those are available in printed in the back. Okay, and then how do you share your feedback? We have surveys. So embedded within the options webpage, as well as on the main page, you can complete the survey and give feedback on those options. Okay. If anyone was watching the board meeting about an hour ago, you may have seen discussion about 2 different things. And so one of them potentially impacts the Woodward study, and one of them potentially impacts the Crown study. This is the slide that was shared at the board meeting early this evening. Dr. Taylor had recommended to build Sligo Creek on a new site in Silver Spring, Maryland, and to initiate the process of closing SIMS. And then for the Crown study, recommended to use Crown as a temporary holding school. If you were watching the board meeting, you will note that there were 2 resolutions that were put forth not to vote on these things, but to add additional options that could show potential, setup if those were possibilities. It doesn't take away the options that are currently available. It just adds more. So where are those? They're coming because obviously we can't do that without a vote from our board. So those will be rolled out very soon. You'll see more of me, you'll see more of Mrs. Morris in the back of the room, and we will be making sure that we get those ready for you and that you have time to look at them. But I wanted to share that because that happened about an hour ago. So if you weren't watching the board meeting, you may not know that. Again, not voting to close a school or use a school as a holding center, voting to add additional options to the round to look at that. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that because that is information that literally was, I think 6:25 p.m. was when that was decided. So we just wanted to be able to share that with you. Again, Mrs. Morris and I are here. We're happy to answer questions that we can answer. But that just is sort of a new piece to this that we wanted to make sure that you were aware of. And I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Langford Brown, who is our fabulous new director.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ebony Langford Brown. I'm the Director of Academic Programs, and this is my third week. So I'm excited to be here and present this information. We're going to talk about the strengthening our local schools as well as the 6-region model. So over the past 50 years, there have been academic programs in Montgomery County Public Schools, and they've been delivered in a way that is successful in some ways, but have also created some problems. And some of the problems that have come about the current delivery model is that we have schools that offer some very advanced courses and schools that don't offer those same courses. So there's a difference in the course offerings at each of our schools. In addition to that, we have some academic programs in the county-wide and regional programs that are not available to students in some parts of the county at all. They're just not accessible or not available. There are also situations where we have county-wide and regional programs that are dominated by students from 3 schools. So the majority of the seats go to students from the same schools. We also have situations where we have 2,000 or more students who apply to the programs and there are no seats for them. So they sit on a wait list or they are in the pool. So they're either waitlisted or on the pool. So there are lots of problems that we're having with our existing model. And we're looking for solutions for that. And there are 2 things I'm going to talk about related to solutions. The first is strengthening our local programs, because what we do know is that 90% of our students in high school remain in their home high schools. They do not go to regional programs, and so it's critical that we ensure that the local program is strong for students and give them the opportunities that they need to be college, career, and community ready. So we had a group back in April, starting a design team that came together. It's about 70 people, and that includes community members, business leaders, industry representatives, and central office and school-based staff, 70 people who came together to give feedback to the county around what we mean when we say a strong local school. And they gave recommendations. One of the recommendations was around this idea of reducing the variability between schools in access to advanced courses. For example, making sure that all schools offer calculus. Okay, so that's one of the recommendations. But related to that is ensuring that the local school has the course progressions that allow students to be prepared for that advanced level work. Making sure that that course progression has enough variety so that you can go wide or you can go deep in an area of study. In addition to that, they recommended in spaces where we're having challenges with students getting access to some courses, that we potentially look at distance learning options, which we know can be challenging, but in certain cases, it may be a way that we can close some of the access needs that we have. In addition to that, they wanted to ensure that all of our students had experiences with research as a part of their time in high school, so that they have opportunity for authentic research during their time in high school. The last thing that they recommended was that at all of our schools, we have focus on opportunities for students to focus on financial literacy, business, entrepreneurship, and finance. And so they wanted to make sure that that was a part of programming at all of our schools. So the first part of the work is about making sure our local schools are strong. Another solution to some of the inequities and challenges that I raised was the idea of moving to a 6-region model. The 6-region model will have 27 schools in 2027, and the county will be divided into 6 regions, and those high schools will be assigned to the regions. Each region will have either 4 or 5 schools. And within that region, there will be programs for students across 5 different themes in your region. So in Region 1, they'll have 5 different program themes, Region 2, 3, 4, 5. So no matter the region, you'd have access to the programming that are currently available in only countywide or regional models. By moving to a smaller region, we're able to provide transportation. We're also able to increase the number of seats that are available for students to access these programs.
Hello, MCPS families. This is your superintendent, Thomas Taylor.
This is
and I want to
Thomas
talk
Taylor.
with you about some of the academic programs that we offer at the secondary level and why this is important. Every student in Montgomery County, no matter what their zip code is, deserves the same access to great options and a chance to be challenged. But right now, that's not always the case. For decades, we've added programs whenever opportunities came along, but without a great plan. That's left some students with multiple chances to apply and others with almost none. Thousands of students apply every year, but too many end up on wait lists or face long commutes that make participation nearly impossible. We're fixing that. The analysis that's on the table right now is helping us to design a regional model that expands access and reduces travel and adds additional seats to great programmatic opportunities, all while keeping rigor, quality, and consistency among our county's top priorities. And timing matters. With boundary studies underway for those new high schools, some families may see changes in their home schools. Under our current system, that can mean changes to program access and, in many cases, even greater inequalities and inequities. A regional approach changes that. It's our promise to families that no matter where you live or what your home school is, your child will have access to the same high-quality programs across the county. And let me be clear. This is not about taking anything away from anyone. This is about opening more doors closer to home so that every student has even more great options. And we can do this and do it well. We have great teachers and we'll put the resources in place to make it happen.
At the heart of this effort is equity. Right now, highly specialized and interest-based program opportunities are available to only a small number of students, with limited supports to help more students access them. Access to opportunity should not depend on luck or geography. Expanding these opportunities across every region of the county is about increasing equity, ensuring more students in more places can benefit. We know there are concerns about ensuring consistency, supporting all students, and preventing inequities from deepening. That's why equity will guide how we design, locate, and evaluate these programs. The plan calls for 6 regional program clusters and about 5 or 6 core themes, like STEM, arts, leadership and service, humanities, and IB, with pathways that students can join based on their interests. Some will be selective, others open by lottery, and all will include flexibility, so students can enter or switch later in high school. We know that some in our community may feel trepidation about what these changes mean for our schools and classrooms. That's understandable. But here's what matters most. We have great teachers in MCPS, and this work is about giving them the support they need to help every student succeed. Through professional development opportunities, cross-functional teams, and strong school leadership, we're building a comprehensive plan that ensures consistency and quality and rigor across regions. With the right resources in place, our educators and our schools will be equipped to make this vision a reality. We've also heard concerns about engagement and transparency. That's why this process includes public information sessions, surveys, direct information in newsletters, and on our website, and direct input from students, families, principals, and teachers. The rollout won't happen until 2027, and we are committed to using this time to listen and adjust.
At the end of the day, this is about removing barriers and ensuring opportunity isn't based on zip code or luck. It's about reducing scarcity, opening doors even wider, and unleashing the potential of every student. That's the commitment, and it's the right thing to do.
Secondary academic programs analysis, ensuring all students are MCPS future ready.
In the video, the speaker spoke about the themes that would be available in each region. We sent a survey out and got about 12,000 responses from students and from families and teachers and staff members and community members. And they took that information and made decisions about which of the themes we would have as a part of our academic programming. It started with 8, and now we're down to the 5 that are here. The first is medical science and healthcare, and then there's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We also have International Baccalaureate, Humanities, and Languages. The 4th theme is around public service, leadership in public service. And then finally, visual and performing arts, along with design and communication. And each of these themes, we are developing pathways. So what's going to happen particular with these themes, and what's going to be special about the programs that we're offering. For each of those programs, we're going to ensure that there is a course sequence that aligns not only to the skills and knowledge that students need to have, but also connects to their interests and what it will mean for them beyond high school. In addition to that, there will be a 9th grade experience, meaning they will have some opportunities as a cohort and with their teams of teachers to work together early on so that they can be acclimated to high school and to the program. There will be a list of co-curricular and extracurricular activities for those students to ensure that they are getting experiences beyond what is happening in the classroom. In addition to that, we will ensure that in the spaces where it is available and possible, that they'll have access to industry recognized certifications and or AP or IB diplomas. And a key part of this as well is a learning community. So with the students that are part of these programs, they will get mentoring, they will receive counseling, and they'll work with staff in the building to build a learning community to support one another. So let's look kind of broadly at what it might mean for a student. So I'm an 8th grade student and I'm going into high school. And I have an assigned school, and let's call that my local high school. And I have opportunities in my school for programming, but I also have opportunities for other programming at schools in my region. So we'll talk about Anita, for example, and Anita is going into 9th grade, and she is considering what she'd like to do as a part of her high school experience. And she knows that she wants to be a doctor. In her current school, she has dual enrollment available to her. There's a magnet in her building already that focuses on technology and computer science. She also knows that within the region, she has those other themes that we talked about. And she knows that one of them is the medical sciences theme. And so she decides that she wants to apply to that program. As a part of the criteria, she'll apply to that program because she's interested in what it's offering related to the advanced courses in medical science. She likes the fact that she has the opportunity to get a industry recognized credential in that program. She also is interested in the cohort model there as well. So she can choose to stay at her school, but in her case, she has the option of applying to one of the other programs in any other buildings in her region. So the video touched on this a bit, but I think it's helpful for us to look at the implementation timeline. The first group of students who will be participate in the new model is the students who are currently in 7th grade. They're the class of 2031. So next year, when they're 8th graders, they will receive information about the programs available to them in the high school to which they're assigned. They'll also receive information about all of the program offerings at their regional schools. That will happen several different ways. There'll be opportunities during the school year for them to hear about that. There'll be correspondence that goes to families. There'll be meetings that will be held so that they're aware of their options. And when they enter 9th grade in 2027, they will be in the new regional model. What you'll see outlined in orange is that during that time when they enter 9th grade, there will also be 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders who are remaining in the existing model, right? So there'll be 3 years of transition. We're bringing on one grade level at a time. For our students who are in 8th grade now or who are currently in high school, there'll be no change to their programming. If they are in a countywide or regional program, they will be able to continue that program and graduate from those spaces, whether the boundaries change or not. That is true for DCC and the Down County Consortium and the Northeast Consortium as well. Our 8th grade students, as they select their schools for next year, for 9th grade, they will be able to remain in those schools through the end of their time with Montgomery County Public Schools. Okay. So our next, we will be going in front of the board again in November. And in November, we will be bringing our final proposal. That proposal will include which pathways will be at which schools in each region. It will also include like the course progressions, the activities, and the funds that would be needed for that. So we'll take that to the board as in a part of a presentation at the end of November. In March, the board will vote on both the boundaries and the program analysis work. Between now and then, we're holding these sessions, and we are continuing to meet with our principals and our school-based staff to make refinements based on the feedback that we receive and the questions that we get from community members. Okay, there's more information available here. You can use this QR code to get more in depth. I'm going to turn it over to Karen. She's going to talk us through what the remainder of our time will be today in terms of addressing questions.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for your attention to both of our speakers this evening. I also want to give you the lay of the land and reference some of the handouts. So everyone should have received a handout for our map of the county. And we will have packets available, table packets, for each of the proposed regions that were highlighted in this evening's presentation. So we will have those available to you. In addition, I want you to understand who you can speak with this evening. So in the middle or towards the back of the room, I have our Department of Teaching and Learning Content Program Supervisors. I have members from math, arts, world languages. I have career and technical education, member who can talk to you about the middle college program and the like. Who else have I missed in the back? I want to make sure I'm referencing everyone. I also have members from our central office team. I'm Karen Danko. I'm in the consortia office. My team member Jeannie Franklin is also passing out those packets I mentioned. I know I have representatives from schools who I work with closely, and grateful that you are here to learn the information and be a conduit to the work we're doing. I also have a few board members here, and I greatly appreciate their long day and being here as active members. You will see, if my Department of Teaching and Learning supervisors, if you could raise your hand so people can get a lay of the land where you are. So parents, if you have questions regarding the program themes and the pathways that could be available, you have your opportunity to speak with them directly. Beyond them is our boundary set of tables, and the maps are there. They're interactive. So we really want to be able to provide you that opportunity. So again, if anybody needs support in addressing any questions in Spanish, I have 3 translators over here, interpreters, forgive me, my 3 interpreters here. In addition, we have a breakout session upstairs in Spanish for anyone who would like to go up to the media center so we can have one-on-one conversations with you there. So again, we will have those handouts for you. You have a packet available as you walked in. If you have any questions, we are here to answer your questions between now and our time at 8 o'clock. So again, you are more than welcome. Get up, mingle, and address your questions at that time. Thank you again for being here. We're here to address your questions at the tables for the content. If you have a question, members of our team are here to help you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That makes me louder. Hi, I'm Essie McGuire. I'm the Chief of Staff of Montgomery County Public Schools, and I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We really wanted to have discussions at the small group tables so that folks can get into their particular questions. We feel like that's the best way for us to be able to talk with you, and also for everybody to be able to again, kind of have those discussions that we need to have. We have a lot of people here to have these discussions. You've got all the experts here in both boundary and in program. So we'll be circling around, we'll be coming to the tables, and we'll be sure we'll get questions answered that way.
With all due respect, the community is providing feedback for how they would like this session to be done.
And we're...
Please just make a note.
So...
Regarding direct feedback from the community right now.
Okay, that is noted, thank you. But we really do want to have productive discussions, and so I would ask us to participate in that.
How many would like to have a community discussion around this? That's why we came. That's why we came.
So what we're not going to do is, I'm hearing everyone yell a lot of different questions. I am hearing that there is generally not sentiment to participate in the table discussions. I will say this, we'll answer questions, we'll do it respectfully, and we'll do it one at a time, and we will do it as long as we are able to have time. We do have... So also, just everyone be aware, we are not technologically set up for this. We have one mic, so we're going to have to share volume. And if we're going to do this, I need everybody to actually, again, be participating respectfully. So I'm hearing a lot of breakout conversations. We're not going to yell over those. Okay. So you offered to facilitate.
I'm Kristen Walker-Painemia, president of the John F. Kennedy PTSA, and I will help facilitate this. I will ask parents to stand up the line. I understand emotions are high, but I asked everyone to be respectful. I asked those who were supposed to take notes for MCPS take those notes.
Okay. Sorry, I did not mean to overly interrupt you. So we can stand in line. We're not going to be handing off the mic. I do want to ask the questions and then answer them, but we're not going to have like an open comment period. We are going to be taking notes. We'll be taking notes for feedback. And so I appreciate the facilitation. Didn't mean to grab that away from you, but I just wanted to be clear that we'll repeat the question so that everyone can hear it, and we'll hand it off to staff to answer it. Okay, what's the first question? That would be great. Thank you. What's your question?
I'm an 8th grader at Newport Middle School, and I'm about to decide where I'm going to go to high school. On behalf of my fellow 8th graders, I'm asking MCPS to pause academic program analysis until school boundaries are done. Otherwise, can you guarantee that the programs you're signing up for as freshmen will still be fully funded and staffed when we are seniors? We need to know this before we make decisions about high school.
Thank you so much for representing the students. So our current 8th graders who are going through the choice process for the Down County Consortium or the Northeast Consortium, they will remain in the current process. Should the board vote for this regional model to take forward, students may remain in their schools. For students who apply to a regional or a countywide program, students will also, as an 8th grader, will be able to remain in their schools. So 8th graders are not impacted by this part of the process. Okay, next question.
Okay, we're not going to yell out. If we want to yell out, then we can go back to tables, okay? What's your question?
Hi, I am Rebecca. I'm a member of the Opportunity Design team that helped contribute to this process. A lot of my community, this was very short notice, they weren't able to come tonight. I've collected a bunch of questions from folks from nearby clusters that I will deliver to your staff because, again, very short notice for this meeting. I'm impressed everyone came. And I also wanted to let everyone know I am a member of the Opportunity Design team, and they often talk about the input we gave, and I'd like to say that they did not, this model was not developed with our input necessarily. For some of us, it was in spite of our input.
Hi, I am a John F. Kennedy High School alumni, and I also attended like in the 1900s before the DCC was started and before the NEC was started. So with the current model, NEC and DCC, there's still some current issues that we're having, and a lot of the issues have to do with teachers getting that additional assistance or those resources in order to be able to have, in order to be able to provide enrichment for the current students. The other thing that you mentioned is, while this is going to impact 7th going downwards, the other issue is you actually have students who do not sign up at the 8th grade level. You have students who sign up 9th, 10th, and 11th into some of these programs. So when you say that you're going to move a program and have it at a different school or something like that, we have students who are still currently taking those programs. We do not have enough teachers, and with what we've seen with MCPS, for example, the virtual academy was shut down very quickly, and parents had to scramble to find other resources or schools for their kids. What guarantee, again, following up on his question, the part that was not answered, where's the funding? And will it stay? Will it be enough for the rest of the students? Or is this just let MCPS try this, and then we end up getting screwed later?
I can do that. So regarding the programs, as we are looking at the existing programs where they are, the regional and countywide programs, we are not looking to move any program. So a program, and you saw some sets on your tables with the different regions, You will likely see, if you're familiar with the regional countywide programs are remaining at those schools, and we are replicating them. They might not be replicated identically, but they're going to be replicated in 5 other regions or 4 other regions, depending on how many existing programs we have. I think the other question was about budget.
So the question about funding, I absolutely hear that question because resources are challenging. I think, and it's a variable every year. That said, a lot of the programs that we are talking about are from a base of programs that we already have, a base of staff that we have. It will be additive and integrated into a funding structure, a staffing structure, and a program structure that we already have. So it's not starting from zero and having to add a whole lot. It's really working with resources we have and, again, adding on some special resources in certain areas, but we're not anticipating a funding jump in a way that would derail all of the programs. And so I think the guarantee about funding is that we will be planning the programs to carry through. We'll be planning them as a component of the school that's part of the general high school with the program track through that. And that will be, again, part of the school allocation as we build that forward. We're also, the other budget impact that helps us is we're going to be adding this incrementally. As you saw from the timeline slide that was shared, it's not like we have all the grades of everybody switching all at once. We're going to be rolling kids into this a grade level at a time, which means that we have incremental budget funding to grow as well. So there are a number of pieces about the funding that give us some cushion to work our way into that.
Hi, go ahead. Rishika Mehta, I'm a parent to a 5th grader, and my question that I yelled out earlier was about middle schools. This 5th grade class was the first kindergarten class during COVID, and they've gone through a lot of changes. So my question is, no proposals have been made, no certainties have been provided about any middle school changes, any program changes. When can we expect this? And is your November proposal to the board going to also include middle school changes for approval?
Thank you for the question about middle school. And regarding the middle school changes, the program analysis work is designed to be both secondary, both middle school and high school. So at the last October 16th board meeting, Dr. Taylor did say that there may be some middle school changes, but we don't anticipate they would be anything significant as what we are expecting at this time. We are really committed to ensuring that our high school programming is exactly what we need it to be. We need to get that right. So we are planning on making any announcements about middle school programming at the November meeting. November 20th is the Board of Education meeting. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think the question is about the 5th graders going through the process. So I think that's a very fair question. One update about that is that 5th grade students who go through the Middle School Magnet Consortium process will go through the process in the current model. There are no changes expected. If you get involved or invited for 6, 7, and 8, you get to remain. So that will occur. If there's any changes, it would impact any 4th grade students at this time. So let's go. Yeah. So I'm happy. Yeah. So we will absolutely acknowledge that, and I think that what we want to do is make sure we get information to you. But 5th grade students now would go through the current process. So that's a good question. So the Middle School Magnet Consortium includes Argyle, Parkland, and Loiterman. And Argyle, Loiterman, and Parkland are 3 whole school magnets. There are also Humanities and Communication magnet programs at Eastern and King, and there's also math, science, and computer science programs at Clemente and Tacoma Park. What was really important for all of the schools is that they had a consistent outreach process. The communication and humanities and the science, math, computer science programs do not do open houses in the fall. The Middle School Magnet Consortium found that this was the time to align their processes with students who are going to be invited, they will have invitations to those students to come and visit their open houses. We recognize that this was an abrupt change, so what they have done is they're going to invite out-of-consortium families to learn more about their programs through an online meeting that will happen on November 5th. Some of you might have gotten that information if you have a student. However, that's the change.
I'm Vanetta Caldwell, parent to a 6th grader, and thank you for allowing us to have this Q&A and changing up things, but I hope you guys, division leadership recognizes we need more time for this than 30 minutes or 25 minutes in the future, but I'm all about equity, and I love that you guys are trying to make it more equitable so everyone has access and opportunity. However, I'm finding some inequities in your current plan of what you're projecting for the future. One, looking at the programming, it seems like they're siblings, not twins. So that means that engineering in one region may look different in another region. For instance, I saw in one region engineering MC2 that was not in our region. I saw aviation that was not in our region. If we're talking about equitable programming, why are we not seeing it across division-wide? How are we going to make sure all our students have access to these programs in the future if we're trying to solve inequities? My other inequity that I saw is I'm wondering about the data. I like that you provided the numbers, but did you guys look at the numbers for NCC and DCC at the rate in which students apply to which programs to ensure that there's still enough space when we move to the new regional model? There was a reason why these programs were created in the first place in the areas in which they are in. How do we ensure that we're still addressing this concern with the future program model?
So I'm going to talk for a minute about the enrollment questions and the space questions that you were asking, and then ask my program friends to speak about that. So I will say we absolutely are looking at a lot of data, right? We're looking at the data of past student choice experiences, current student choice experiences, and I will say that on the one hand, we are absolutely informed by that data, but we also know that there are aspects of that data that are not what we want to replicate. And so we also need to look at it in terms of how are we expanding? How are we expanding the number of program choices that students have access to? That's a big part of this. And so right now, students have some access in some areas, a lot of access in other areas like the DCC, but also even that choice is limited in some ways. And so again, what we're looking at is we're looking at those data patterns, but we're also looking at the data patterns that are not positive that we don't want to replicate. And so that's where we're also looking ahead to say, we want to be able to expand seats and have some flexibility related to student interest as we look forward as well. So one of the adjustments that we're trying to make is rather than say, okay, we have this program that has room for 50 kids or 100 kids or even 200 kids, and we're going to have applications from all across a bigger area, and we're going to ask people to apply, and then we'll see how we get down to 200. Rather than do that, one of the very important pieces of data that we're looking at is the wait list data. We know how many kids apply for these programs that are perfectly well qualified, and we don't have the space. So we want to replicate the opportunity to have programs that are similar, and Ms. Franklin will speak about that, but we want to have more options and more things to choose, and that is some of the data that we're looking at, so that the space in a program can be a little flexible over time related to student interest. That is a piece that we want to be able to work with also. So I thought I asked the data question, maybe not. So we are looking at the, so Jeannie will talk about the differences. I do want to say, so the specific answer is yes, we're looking at that data, and the point is that not all of it should be replicated. We'll ensure it by having spaces and staffing according to interest in a lot of ways. Do you want to say?
Yeah. So we just brought back up the program themes that we wanted to make sure, and some of you might have also given us feedback on these themes. So these are the 5 major areas, and we also wanted you to know that we did invite our program teams here, should you have any specific questions about the programs, to answer questions. But we do recognize that the programs are built from the assets in the schools. So what we think is most cost-effective is building upon what already exists. So I'll give you an example. Leadership in the orange is a program theme that every region will have access to, but the program might actually look a little different in each region based on existing programs and assets, and then also feedback from the community and the school. So I'll give you an example. Poolsville High School offers the Global Ecology program, and many of us for many years thought it was more of a science, math, technology program, but it really is a leadership program. So Global Ecology at Poolsville is going to be the leadership program there. Whitman High School has an existing Leadership Academy of Social Justice. It doesn't make sense for us to make it a Global Ecology program when they have a successful program. So some of these program themes are really designed to respond to the community. So if they're successful, we want those programs to continue being successful. So the next part, where schools don't have a leadership program, we're talking to the community, we've made some recommendations, we've looked at the school assets. So some of our schools will have additional leadership and social justice programs. We have not talked about expanding global ecology in its existence right now because of how the program is designed. But it is something that we are exploring as we're looking into the different regions. But every region will have each one of these program themes. They're not identical programs. We started off the meetings by saying that. We wanted to build off the assets, and we also want to hear from you about what would work most effectively in your school community.
So I want to take a minute and say I feel like a couple things are happening here. I see the line of questions, and we can continue that, but I also feel like I see some informal breakout sessions happening. And so what I would like to do is a couple things. One, not everyone, folks asked me what the reason was for doing breakout sessions. Not everyone wants to stand up and ask their question. Some people do want to have a conversation. And so if you are one of those people and you don't want to ask your question in front of the whole room, I think we can, again, we've got a lot of staff here. We can have some program breakout sessions. I see an informal one happening over there. We've got plenty of tables in the back. I think we absolutely can have staff available to answer your questions in smaller groups if that's more comfortable for you. The other thing I want to say is the other thing that people might have questions about are boundaries. And we again have boundary staff in the back. And so anybody who is interested in talking specifically about boundaries, please go to the back where the maps are, and folks will be available to talk to you there. So I want to, again, we're happy to pivot and accommodate this format, but there are people who may want to participate in the other format, and I want to just be sure that that is still available for people. Also thank you, that's a very helpful reminder. We do have the QR code. We are collecting questions and we will answer them, and so you can use that. And you can also use the sticky notes to put sticky notes, is that what the back, on the big maps in the back. So that is something that we can have also. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. I am a parent and also an MCPF staff member, and I have two questions. Can you please talk about the difference, or if there will be any difference, in the criteria-based and interest-based? How does that compare to what we currently have now? How is that going to be in terms of logistics? And also, in a previous meeting, and it was not mentioned here, my understanding was that if students did not get into a criteria-based or an interest-based program, however, they applied, they would definitely have to be in their home school, which means, if my home school is a science school, I would not have access to other art classes.
Do we have people, do we have enough people at the breakout rooms, the breakout tables?
Yes, yes. So just a reminder, I'm going to get to your question. We do have, the folks at the round tables are our program teams, and so they have table tents. So if you wanted to ask any questions, we wanted to let you know. So we are going to build upon what's been rather successful in our current model to our future model with criteria-based and interest-based programs. On the papers that were passed out at the tables, you will see Region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're focusing on 3. But you will see the I means interest-based. If there are more requests than seats available, we will run a lottery. If it's the C, those are generally advanced level programming. So those will be based on academic criteria, or we're starting performing arts this year in 2027, so that might be through an audition or a portfolio. So we're going to have a variety of criteria that will be applied for placement of students. So we have interest-based and criteria-based. And the goal is that we are looking to double the number of seats that we have from what we currently have, because we know we have lots of interest. But the other part is that we wanted to mention that for our local schools, we really want to ensure our local schools have advanced programming and courses. So that's really important, because that's what our community is telling us. They see that the criteria-based programs really are the only options, and we need to address that by having more advanced opportunities in our local schools. I hope that was.
Hi, I'm a parent of a 4th grader at Oakland Terrace and a 6th grader at Newport Mill, the 2nd class to get TWI, which has not even been discussed at all here. Yes, so would appreciate that. But a key concern, which I'd actually put on top of TWI, is something I actually asked of you during one of the online sessions. Even on this paper, it says, these pathways in local high schools may continue. There is no guarantee. That is not equitable for our children. If something is pulled out that they're being prepped for example, pre-IB at Newport Mill, go to Einstein, oh, sorry, it's not available. And so if we're talking about local strong schools, how is that going to be guaranteed through all of this convoluted mess, ramming 2 things together that do not have to be put together?
So to start with, we have 2 different immersion programs in the system. In the elementary school, we have a one-way immersion program, which is designed for students with English, and then they can come and learn a second language. And then we have two-way immersion, where it's 50-50, where students learn Spanish and English in the curriculum. Two-way immersion, I don't have all the specs, but I understand that students are attending their home elementary school. Then they articulate to their home middle school. And then all students, one-way and two-way students, go to high school. One-way immersion is only K-8. Two-way immersion it can be K-12 because Spanish is available in all of our high schools. So I think that our addition on the paper about local pathways may be available, and this is the truth, that we recognize that some of our high schools are going to be impacted by the boundary study. We recognize that some schools are going to potentially lose 200 to 400 students. And that is going to have an impact potentially on pathways that we cannot control. So we cannot staff pathways in which there is low enrollment, but we believe that successful, high interest, high impact pathways at local high schools will continue by virtue of students voting to be in them. So we don't want to promise that they will be there simply because we don't know the outcomes of the boundary study and that impact. Can you follow up with me? Just follow up with me.
Sure. Hi, I have I can't hear them when I'm right here. So I have twin 7th graders. They will be the first class at Woodward in all of the options. So my question pertains to how these regional programs will work if it is your home school, but you don't get into an interest lottery. Obviously, if it's a STEM program, there will still be science and math classes. If it's a humanities program, there will still be humanities program. What happens with performing arts? So it just so happens that both my kids are really into theater. Tilden has an amazing theater program, and Woodward is being designed to be a theater regional program. The chances of one or both of my kids getting into that lottery is slim to none.
So how do you still have a theater program when there is an interest program? How do, for the regular homeschool kids not in the interest program, how does one stage and one, teacher who does after school every day for hours to put on a play share that with the non-interest program kids to also have those same experiences?
So this is the very reason why we have our program team. So Dr. Rumpf, if you can raise your hand. I can't answer that question as specifically as our program person. So if any of you are also interested in that answer, I would invite you to join him. We're happy to answer some of the more general questions, but if you have specific program questions, we absolutely want to invite you to talk with our teams that are here. We do have roughly 5 minutes, and I am planning on staying for a little longer to talk in smaller groups, and I'm happy to do that.
So just to clarify, I do know there's a lot of questions about the theater, and Dr. Rumpf, can you raise your hand again? There you go. So if you have theater or performing arts questions, please head back to that table there.
So I have a 6th grader and a 10th grader in the system, and they've both had the opportunity to benefit from some of the specialized programs currently existing. And so I have an up-close and personal view, and part of me wants to stand up and cheer that you're talking about replicating and promulgating these programs, because there should be more access, there should be more slots. But your timeline gives me great pause, because I think it's magical thinking that you could replicate these without significant staff development. What I have learned from these programs is that the teachers are very specialized. Very specialized. That's what makes the program special, is the people, not just the curriculum or the fact that it's got a title. And the idea that, within essentially 2 years, you're going to have enough specialized expertise in the school system to replicate these programs to maintain rigor and equity. So you're presenting a plan in a couple of weeks. Can you preview exactly what the resources are? And I will just say, I don't think it could just be professional development, because this isn't something you can professional development.
So I am with you. When we first heard about this idea, we were just as intrigued with this notion of opening programs in 2027. But what I have come to learn, and I want to share with you, if you look on the map, in 2027-28, which is 2 years later, in 2 years, what's really important is we're not rolling out a 9th through 12th program. We're going to be rolling out just with 9th graders in the first year. And every program we have, we are running now. It might not be a regional, it might not be a countywide. We have performing arts already. We have medical science already. We have health care already. We have leadership already. So what we do know is that we have tremendously talented teachers who are very interested in this work and working with specialized programs. And so we're going to have this opportunity. And we will be able to roll it up each year. So we'll start with 9th grade, then we'll do 9th and 10th grade, and then it'll take 4 years to have a full class. But at the same time, in 2027-28, when it starts, we'll have 1 class, and we'll be in the current process. In the following year, we'll have 2 classes, and then we'll be phasing out 2 of the current process. And 2029-30, we'll have 3 classes, and then we'll have phasing out 1 more class. So we will be able to professional develop, we'll be able to resource, we'll be able to do externships. So we are ready. We're also establishing a team to address that. So we have time for 1 more question, and then we can stay for a few more.
So I think, yes, we can take 1 more, and then what I want to say to this line of folks, what I want to say is, let's come to one of these tables, and we can answer questions here. I think the mic format is coming to an end, so we will stay and answer the questions. We'll stay and answer the questions, but I am going to turn the mic off and ask people to come here that want to hear the answers to this, and we can continue the breakout sessions for a little bit longer, and then we'll start to wrap it up. So last mic-oriented question.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Most of us are Kennedy homeschool. What programs are, what is going to be the draw for us who were banking on the DCC? Because Kennedy, I just went through 8th grade. I have an 8th grader. I just went through the DCC process with her. I got to tell you, I was unimpressed with Kennedy's offerings for high school. It's much more career ready. We are a household that is prepping for college. What is going to be the draw? Why would anybody from Walter Johnson or Woodward send their kids over here? What's the draw?
So great question. So we put table sets on the tables, and it's the purple one, Region 3. So Kennedy is going to keep their International Baccalaureate program. They will be the only one in the region that will have that. It'll be criteria-based, and we are going to have the medical science and healthcare. And the reason why we know that that is really popular, because that is one of our more sought-after programs that we have long wait lists for and high retention. So what that means, in some of our programs where we invite 100 students, we can almost guarantee that 60% of them will stay, and 40% will not stay or go to another program. Whenever we invite students to medical science or healthcare, it's usually 80%. So we feel really strong about medical science and healthcare. We feel really strong about all the programs in Region 3. But we were particularly very interested in medical science and healthcare because Kennedy it has that as an asset.
All right, thank you everybody. If you're still in line to ask a question, come join us over here at this table. We'll create a little question group over here. And again, appreciate everyone coming out tonight to participate in the conversation.